this class, I had to look around to see if I recognize everybody. When we started the Development at Work series, it was really always about people from coming in from the outside to come and speak. And as you know, it's an opportunistic strategy, something that you will learn soon. We would see who was coming through Manila, look at our network, and through this network, get a sense of who were the movers and shakers, whether they were research people, academics, whether they were politicians, whether they were civil society leaders, whether they were development managers coming in from difficult places. We grab them and ask them to come and speak. So as you know, we've had a very diverse group of speakers come through. And the whole idea with Development at Work is there are lots of things that can be learned outside of the classroom. So even though we're sitting in this setting, it's not in the context of a class. It's in the context of a conversation or a dialogue with that person. We ask them to share the work that they do, and we use the occasion to ask questions and to have a conversation about what is going on out there. After all, development is really about the work that's being done. So as I've said, you know, we've had human rights lawyers from Cambodia, we've had the Minister of Finance of Timor-Leste, we've had the former president of Poland, we've had members of parliament from Northern Ireland to come and talk about the peace process. So earlier this year, a number of you from Mindanao shared the Mindanao peace process with everybody, wanted to explain what Bangsamoro and what they were doing. You know, let me just say that the talks do have some practical application. When those members of parliament, and there were two that came on two different occasions, came to speak at AIM, it was part of a project of the Asia Foundation to bring them in precisely to speak to both parties of the Mindanao peace process, if only to share ideas on how to move that process forward. After that happened, one of the Development at Work series was the sponsorship of the MILF Peace Panel to come and present their proposals. And they came to AIM precisely because this is a neutral venue. The idea was they would come, they made a presentation of their side of the peace process and the demands that they were going to put on the table to test out whether or not those ideas would be acceptable. The audience for that was not only students from 2 years ago, it was also the business community. And the business community gave them feedback in the course of the conversation, many of which questioned whether or not some of these proposals were actually not only feasible, but whether they were for the good of the peace process. As a result, the MILF panel went back, took a hard look at their position. 4 months later, came back and made a second presentation, this time making changes. And I think this is really the value of a series like this. Now, very, very pleased because, as I said in the beginning, we were always, it was an opportunity for us to get people from our network, but they were outside of AIM. And as they would come through Manila, we would grab them, have them speak, have them share what they were doing, even if it was work in progress. This year, we're starting to see a change in those that we are inviting to come on board. They are no longer outsiders of AIM. In fact, they're graduates of this program. And they're graduates of this program who are coming through Manila to attend meetings and to speak at very high level, to high-level audiences. You will recall, I think about a month and a half ago, Dan came and spoke on housing in Vietnam. and he was here to make a presentation to the Asian Development Bank. Last year, we had one member of the MDM program also come through and speak, and today we have with us Radha Paudel from Nepal. She has set up Action Works Nepal, and most recently received quite a prestigious award, which was given by the UN system. And we're very proud that she's one of those awardees. The other awardee, at least the ones that I'm familiar with, the other awardee is Secretary Gabe Delis, who is the person in the peace process, the Mindanao peace process. And so it's very good company. To introduce Radha, let me call on Professor Benji Bagadion to do the honors.
Good afternoon. Although I didn't have the privilege of having Madame Paudel in my class, because at that time I was on leave working in conflict-affected Mindanao, I have that honor, I was given that honor today to introduce her to you. So Radha Paudel, MDM Class 2010, is a recipient of the 2012 End Peace Awards, which is a UNDP-initiated award. The End Peace Award is given to individuals who have remarkable contributions to building peace in conflict-affected countries in Asia. As founder and president of Action Works Nepal, she currently leads her organization in promoting human rights and in giving poor, conflict-affected, and rural people a voice in local and national affairs. She has been working in the development sector for 17 years and has become a key figure in Nepal's peace-building work. Radha Paudel is a woman's human rights defender and an activist and vice president of Kathmandu chapter. She previously worked as program manager for a project entitled Women Empowerment for Transformation in CARE International in Nepal from April 2007 to September 2009, and for a project entitled Rights of Adolescents in the Center for Development and Population Activities from 2004 to 2006. Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Madame Paudel.
Namaste. Good evening. Maganda Daga Dari. Am I right? Salam alaikum. Thank you very much for a very good introduction. First, I would like to ask about how do you find MDM? Excellent. Maybe you are in the second semester. Yes? So you have already passed through the make of the butter. Yeah? How do you find MRR? Have you already finalized the topic? Yes? Great, congratulations. Now you start to enjoy the MDM. Everyone had to go through the struggle because we are not much familiar with the structural things, and most of the countries do not have that kind of educational practice. Particularly South Asians, they are teaching in the British style and here the American style, and it's really very difficult. Gone through the war, discussion, learning things, too many things. It's really very tough, but this is the time to enjoy. And by the time of third semester, you start to enjoy, and it is already finished. Okay, this is really very incredible privilege to be with you all. I really extend my sincere thanks to Professor Mike Loach and Lyndon and all entire team. Without the Professor Loach, I am not able to be here. I left MDM 2010. I left 1 week earlier because of problem in my leg. I had to go through the surgery, but I'm keep on touch with MDM. I always sharing the things with MDM friends, and it's really give a a kind of space to grow, to grow in the global arena for peace and human rights. While talking my organization, it is still very infant. See, when I graduated from MDM, I started the Works Nepal, and then, as Professor already highlighted, I am awarded as the NPeace Award 2012 and Women Peacemaker 2012. Women Peacemaker, it is a US-based peace award, and in the 10th year history of the Women Peacemaker, first time from Nepal I was selected. And it is all about, because of the working in the most remote, most conflict affected areas. And also, I just released the book, it is called Khalangama Hamala. And last Thursday, before coming here, I read this book by very popular, very renowned publisher, and it is all about how I worked in the wartime. And it is going to publish in English as well. But here, if you like to know, here is the summary of the book. You can read later. And maybe I am also one of the first MDM 2010 students for receiving the congratulations letter from the President of the Am I? Thank you for providing this all this. Okay, this is all about the achievements what I bring from the MDM indeed, because MDM create a space, enhance my self-confidence, determination, commitment, where I want to reach. But before that, if you see my history, I born in a poor rural family, and in my family I have 5 sisters and 1 brother. Youngest one is my brother. My parents were waiting for the boy, and I was the 4th one. And later I started my career as a nurse, and that time that was the government permanent job, but I can't enjoy because it is very much stereotyping, and there is no space to take care of the people who are really marginalized and isolated, and they deprived from the basic rights and needs. And also, then I started to work on war. I mean, it is, if you go through the date, since 2001, I started to work in the conflict affected area. Maybe you are aware that in Nepal we have a Maoist insurgency since 1996 to 2006. And I encountered with several times with the Maoist combatants, government security, police, and other government peoples, and all are considered me as a spy, and it's really very difficult to negotiate with them and to establish the broad wing and operation theatre for the maternal and child aid. And later I joined the international organization. It is called the SEDPA, which is based in Washington DC, and another here international. I also quit both organizations, and I started to work in my organization on the Works Nepal. Maybe you already know because you are the leader for the Asia. So maybe you are aware about the location of your colleagues where they come from. This is a very short overview. I know you all had already gone through the series of presentations in classroom, and they have already get that kind of sense about the basic statistics. In the global map, Nepal is still in the very poor, very rural country in the world. And while seeing the data, the poverty distribution in Nepal, I am trying to highlight how I started the Works Nepal. In Nepal, National Living Standard Survey 2011 showed that there is one place, it is called Karnali, where the poverty incidence is very high by many ways in terms of caste, region, development region, and rural urban. At any analysis, you can see the extreme poverty in Karnali. And if you see the national development trend, you can find most of the peoples are not interested to work in the rural areas, and if they work, they only focus on the urban zone. I mean, very short-term activities like scholarship, and they do not have any vision, and they also intended to address the single issue. Maybe you have already gone through the system thinking, yeah? And the developmental lectures in Nepal, they focused on the linear process. I really nervous when I saw my professor there. I did not realize. And the funding also, the donor agencies also looking for the very easy loops, how they can get to easy travel and developing very good reports. And most of the donor agencies and NGOs are oriented for the powers, and many activities based on the donor driven. In their organizational strategy, they do not mention about one thematic area. Once they talk with the external donors and they put the thematic area and they started to work on it. It means there is no vision, there is no strategy, there is no impact in real people. So that kind of things we have, and most of the organizations and leaders are working for the popularity. Likewise, what I realized from my childhood experience as well as my more than decades working experience, particularly in the rural and conflict affected areas, I realized that birthplace is not a choice of an individual at all. Do you feel so? And poverty is not accident. Why the same people, same kind of community face the same problem from generation to generation? And are we really, we all are developmental actors or organizations or individuals are really trying to address the underlying cause of poverty, or just trimming the branches? So that kind of things I started to think. And at the meantime, working in the very conflict affected area, I also realized that the armed conflict in Nepal is not a conflict like Middle East and Africa. It is a outcome of it is a kind of outcome or option, because I interacted with many Maoist combatants at that time, and they said they don't like the Maoists, but they do not have option because they are living in very extreme poverty. They are discriminated in the community in terms of class, caste, gender and region, and they don't have a choice, and they join the combatant. So this is the things what I realized from my working and dealing with the Maoists during that time. Then I started to work on that area. Particularly the Karnani is one of the most remote, most conflict affected and most poor area. If you see in the map of the Nepal, I have already explained in the data. And even today there is no telephone, there is no motorable roads, and see the socio-economic conditions, and there is only a way by plane or you have to walk. It is not much far from the Kathmandu, but from Kathmandu, if you take a flight, it is a 2-hour flight, and if you like to walk from the transit, it will take about 9 to 15 days to reach there. And it's really very high mountain, Somewhere it is 8,000 feet to 9,000, more than 9,000 feet you have to cross the alpine mountains. So it's a really very difficult place.